you playing?
Greetings, and welcome to What the Bleep Are You Playing? A podcast where we play a game, many times bad. Today, well, we'll decide, a game and tell you why the bleep we are playing it. I'm Super Saiyan Shawn, this is Namekian Thomas, and here's Mason, who summoned the Eternal Dragon for a new pair of undies. How you guys doing?
I mean, I need them. Apparently, I've worn the same pair of underwear to work multiple times, so maybe I'm getting.
Welcome to Podcast Hour, where Mason admits things he probably shouldn't be admitting.
They were clean. They were clean.
So they were cleaned in between each visit, but
Yes.
I just imagine, just get the Eternal Dragon, and you get all these wishes. Technically, the first wish in the series was for panties.
Yes. Yep. Oolong.
if you
Oolong saving the day.
Oolong saved the world by wishing for a pair of underwear. That is why Oolong is the best Dragon Ball character. Him and Poor, fuck anyone who disagrees.
I'm not gonna lie. I was half expecting with the intro a Krillin comparison, because I may know basically next to nothing about Dragon Ball, which you will discover more as this podcast goes on. But I do know that Krillin is lame. And that's what I was
not true. Krillin is
expecting
awesome.
Krillin's actually kind of kick-ass.
Krillin is kind of kick-ass. He became kind of a joke on the internet in the mid-2000s, and then kind of in the early parts of Dragon Ball Abridged. But even kind of listening to the commentary of the Dragon Ball Abridged people, they actually don't like how they portrayed Krillin as a kind of the bitch that they did.
Well, because the thing about Krillin is, he's not as strong as everyone, but he's got the brain. He's got the strategy.
He also got the hot wife.
He did get arguably the hottest. No, Paul.
I mean, look, if we're gonna argue Dragon Ball girls, Videl is number one.
So he's like
Pigtail Videl.
He's like what's his face on Parks and Rec, where everybody makes fun of him, and yet he has the hot wife.
Andy?
No, Jerry.
Jerry, that's right, Jerry.
He's like Jerry.
So Mason knows nothing about Dragon Ball. This is the Dragon Ball episode, the first of probably many, because there are so many Dragon Ball games. I think we are up to 90-something at this point.
Help me.
I know everything. Oh, yeah, everything. But I know lots about Dragon Ball.
I was going to say I'm going to blink twice for help, but nobody can see
I'm going to blink twice for help. Ah, shit. And I'm in the middle. I know a lot about Dragon Ball, not as much as Shawn, but I don't pull a Mason where I walk into a Dragon Ball and I'm like, oh shit, it's Naruto.
It's Naruto. you're gonna be a larger contributor to this episode than
So I decided a good introduction, and I know Thomas and I talked about a little bit of this. A good introduction, honestly, to the series and what would introduce to the series. Dragon Ball Z Budokai is what we played.
And you know what? At the very least, I'm glad we played this and not Evolutions. The game.
Look, I'm not going to pass around the PSP yet.
That'll be next season. No, I'm kidding.
But Dragon Ball Z Budokai, released in Japan as a fighting game developed by Dimps for the PlayStation 2, released in 2002, and then later on the Nintendo GameCube in 2003. It's the first game in the Dragon Ball Z Budokai series, which has many games. Dimps made the first three and the PSP versions, they did not do the Tenkaichis.
They did Shin Budokai though, didn't they?
I believe they did, but they did the Evolutions reskin.
Speak of the devil, and the devil shall appear.
It is based on the Japanese anime series Dragon Ball Z. No way. Which is part of the mega manga franchise Dragon Ball. No way.
Wait, you're telling me this was a manga first?
Wait, I thought this was a Blue's Clues game.
It was published in Japan by Bandai and in North America by Infogrames, which is Atari. It's Atari. Yeah, was the first Atari console Dragon Ball video game in 5 years, and only the second one to come to America. The first one being Dragon Ball GT Final Boot, which famously has our podcast favorite Steve Bloom voicing Goku.
Isn't GT the one that isn't canon, or is that?
Technically, yes. It's technically not.
Okay.
GT is such a weird position.
It's kind of an alternate universe more than anything else. It does not have a manga. It was not made by the creator Akira Toriyama, but he did do some of the initial designs.
Okay, so it's canon in the same way that, like, Marvel What If canon to the main.
Probably a little less, but kind of similar. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is kind of another person's take on it. But also, you can go multiple branching timelines at this point because the Dragon Ball Super manga and Super anime are different. So, because the anime came first for one of it's weird when an anime comes before a manga.
Yeah, I thought it's normally I don't know much about anime in general, but that usually is how it goes, isn't it?
The manga comes first. Yeah.
Keep in mind, all this talk about branching timelines and multiverses getting destroyed came from a manga that started with a little monkey boy getting shot by a purple-haired chick.
Yep. Yeah. Who in the anime who hits the little monkey boy with the car, but in the manga does not hit him with the car.
No, she just puts a cap in his ass.
She's cold-blooded.
There are cars in Dragon Ball?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Dragon Ball. Okay, the Dragon Ball universe.
Around?
This is gonna be a fun podcast because I just gonna talk about the Dragon Ball universe is a weird kind of alternate, mystical version of Earth.
Like modern Earth.
Kind of. It's a mix between modern and not. So like there are a lot of like incredibly advanced technologies, space travel. The company Capsule Corp that is in the company that Bulma and her father founds. Basically creates these things called capsules that basically can hold anything in them in the world.
Legit, in like the second episode, maybe even the first episode of Dragon Ball, Bulma pulls a whole ass house out of one.
It can hold anything at any point, and that's if someone created the ability to transport cars in the palm of my hand, yeah, probably you're going to be the richest people in the. But so it is kind of a modernized world, but there are dinosaurs on the planet.
I was going to say, and then you walk 20 feet to the right, and it's like a T-Rex.
Albeit, I don't know if the dinosaurs actually show up in any of the manga or canon stuff, or they just show up in fillers of the anime. So that may be something also. But also, the King of Earth is a dog.
Is
King Furry.
The King of Earth, or is it the President of Earth?
He's the King of Earth.
The King of Earth's a dog. Yeah, because there's just random ass furry people walking around. Like there's a random ass dog person, random ass cat person.
But there's also
isn't there also like a little tiny man pig baby thing?
Yeah, Oolong.
Who can shapeshift.
The best.
He went to shapeshifting school.
The best character in the franchise.
But Poir graduated. Oolong left.
Yeah, Oolong bailed. He's technically 7, but in the dub he sounds like a 30-year-old.
Yeah,
smoker.
He sounds like smoker. Yeah, yeah.
You can't see Mason's face, audience, but his face of that is, please God, strike me down. I don't want to be here.
So
Japan is such a creative place.
It also has Native Americans, but we don't know if there's in America, but there are Native Americans in the there's also an episode in the OG Dragon Ball where Goku is fighting a ninja who hides behind an American flag.
Where's America? What is America like in the Dragon Ball universe? It's Dragon Ball Evolution. Oh, fuck!
Well, that's unfortunately, an American take on the Dragon Ball, Geeko. But at the time Budokai came out, to kind of move it back to our actual game topic, and not fun tangents that I'm going to have lots of, Budokai is and part of why I picked this game and wanted this game to be the springboard point for Dragon Ball was the defining game. This was the game. It was the first game that really came to America. I know Final Bout was there, and it was a GT game. It was confusing. That was basically. I don't remember which studio had that one that they released it. It might have still been Bandai, but
I think it was Atari.
It might have been, but it was the licensings were who was doing the voice acting and all the things was still up in arm. There were a bunch of other things, and it was just grabbing quickly one and trying to make some money off of this. Oh, this show that is being kind of popular let's try to capitalize on this in America.
There's also the fact that GT Final Bout. You know how last week I called Ben 10 Protector of Earth, oops, all Steve Bloom? GT Final Bout is oops, all Goku. There's so many goddamn Gokus in that game.
There are a lot of games where that's a problem.
There's a lot of them in other ones, like Xenoverse, I think.
Yes, there are a lot of... Xenoverse has a lot of versions. When you have versions of it, the Budokai Tenkaichis, because you'll have, Kid Goku, Goku, But like you'll have Goku Super Saiyan blank, Super Saiyan 4, Vegito, all these other big things like that.
Do we know like what the top Goku is? Have they gotten to that point even?
It depends what branching timeline you want to talk about.
Look, the best form for Goku is Super Saiyan 4 because
Correct.
it's him returning to monkey.
It's him monkey. It's monkey form. Ultimate monkey.
I mean,
because like I always thought that Blue was the top one. Is that right?
Is it
Not
blue,
not
or is
really
it...
not blue. I mean, technically, there's now like multiple forms from it, but it's you can get to the done with blue, but also God power is a very weird in terms of just like punchy. Yes, blue is probably the most like I'm going to do the most damage, but it also has a lot of drawbacks.
Huh. And then also, where does like the hair growth happen? Like, how is that, like, because doesn't he, like, what is the purpose of growing more hair as you get more powerful?
Anime.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Anime.
Legit, like, it's not Dragon Ball, but Gon from Hunter Cross Hunter. He has this, like, special transformation, which, spoilers, it's got a whole bunch of shit behind it. I won't spoil it here, but it's got a whole bunch of shit behind it. His hair literally goes up to the goddamn sky. Like, it's gracing God's beard.
There's a lot behind that one. Yeah, we're not gonna make this a Hunter x Hunter podcast because I could also tangent a million times on that.
If you can't tell, Shawn's the weeb.
Fair.
I say as someone who's been watching Baki for the last week.
As the over there, the One Piece fan.
Yeah, I was gonna say the One Piece fan, the goddamn hypocrite. Yeah.
So when Budokai came out, it was kind of the big like jump off point at the time. I believe the Boo saga was getting ready to air in America, or it had started airing. It may have been right around it. At least when the GameCube version came out, it had. I don't know 100% if the PS2. Now, obviously, at this point, Dragon Ball Z had finished airing in Japan for over a decade. GT was done at this point in Japan. This was kind of this era-defining game that one of the biggest numbers here is it sold 2.688 million copies in Japan and the US. And it is ranked as the 17th highest selling game that was launched in that cycle, January 2000 to July 2006, the PlayStation 2, Xbox, GameCube. It was the 17th highest selling game of that period.
Sheesh.
Keep in mind, the PS2 had so many goddamn games.
This was a humongous franchise building because it not only was the Toonami, Kids WB fandom had existed that were wanting desperately to play fighting games in this anime, it also created new fans that spawned off. This was the game to kind of build off to Dragon Ball games and more into the future. There are many, many better games, both before and after it. In this own franchise, in the 3 Budokai franchise, this is the worst of the Budokai 1, 2, and 3 games. Budokai 2 and 3 are much better games, in my opinion.
It's why another reason I think this was a smart pick for the first Dragon Ball game. Unlike, say, Ben 10 or VeggieTales or whatever, where I think you have to be fans to enjoy those games. And I do. I'm a fan of VeggieTales. I'm a fan of Ben 10, so I enjoy them. But here, I do think that this is actually a good introduction for Dragon Ball, if only because of the story mode.
I feel like if I got more into the story mode, I would probably have the same feelings. But I only played a few individual fights, and I couldn't help but I just couldn't shake the feeling of like, why would I play this? Not only why would I play this over any future Dragon Ball games that have come out recently, but I just couldn't see any reason to play it over any other fighting game.
I mean, at the time, thinking about it, we're still, you're talking 2002. I mean, unless you're going back in the 3D fighting games at the time when it came out, it was pretty much on par with a lot of the 3D fighting games.
Yeah.
You're still not to Tekken 3 and 4 hadn't come out yet.
Had
Tekken 3 might have came out, but Tekken 4.
Tekken 4 was, I believe, 03.
Yeah, so Tekken 3, Tekken 4, Tekken 3 had come out, and Tekken 3 is fine. You know Mortal Kombat hadn't really hit the 3D.
Well, even when Mortal Kombat hit the 3D, DOA existed.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, that's the game franchise this reminds me most of is DOA.
That's fair. And I think, obviously we'll talk about more holding up at the end of the podcast.
Oh.
But at the time, a lot of the games at this point, and as far as games, there's a lot of games at the same time that were equally considered good or whatever that, have held up worse.
Tekken 4 was actually 2001.
Really?
Oh, damn.
Okay, so
All right,
Tekken 4 would have
come
been out.
out.
So there's at least one really good fighting game that there, because Tekken 4 is really good.
Tekken 4 is good. All right, fighting game tangent from your friendly neighborhood Thomas.
Thomas had never heard such bullshit in his...
No, Tekken 4 is a good game. Why the fuck would you introduce the character who only punches, Steve Fox? Why would you introduce the boxing character in the game where it is easiest to dodge punches? Now, I'm not saying I do,
That's fair.
because Mason played with me with Steve Fox, and I like Steve Fox as a character, but fuck him as a goddamn fighter. God damn it. But, yeah.
Yeah,
Tangent over. Tekken 4 is still good.
But to springboard off into the fight, as a fighting game, this is not a great fighting game. I'll just say that from there. It is a slow moving at times. The button inputs are not well put together yet. It doesn't get to the point where you can actually customize to a lot of the big attacks to actual top buttons, which comes later on, that you can actually make it a little easier. No one was going to be playing a competitive fighting Budokai. This is not a super amazing fighting game. It was, at its core, is built for anime fans, Dragon Ball fans, but also at the time, because of how few anime games or fighting games like this had come stateside, this was kind of the beginning that allowed a lot of those really good games to eventually be coming this direction.
Yeah, because... Yeah, let's get into the gameplay mechanics of this game. They're not... Gameplay mechanics are punch, kick, you can grab, and...
I found the throw, I remember, because I've played Budokai 3 more recently on this, I definitely found that, I always liked throws in that game. I found throws annoying in this game. I forgot how annoying Budokai 1's throws were.
Because they're really hard to hit.
Not for the computer necessarily, but for you, yes.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that. But, again, it's why this game reminds me a lot of DOA, because it's the same 4-button setup, but 2 hits. Because DOA has punch, kick, block, and grab for the face buttons.
Who has time to block?
Okay. And DBZ Budokai has punch, kick, block, and energy instead of grab. Grab, you either do punch and guard, or you press R1 if you're a cheap bitch like me. Let's get to the fact that every character in this game plays the goddamn same.
Yep. Yeah. There's not a lot of variation. The only difference is going to be power and how much power. But they really you have your bigger characters that are going to be a little more physical. Your Nappas, your Dodorias, and it's very limited differences. Your Cells, and those are going to be a little bit. And then you have your smaller characters that are harder to hit. Your Krillins, the Android 1718, your Gohans. But overall, everything is pretty similar.
The most popular fighting game ever made probably is Street Fighter 2. You can make an argument that there are a bunch of similarities in that game, but Ryu and Zangief do not play the same. Guile and Chun-Li do not play the same. Here, you can pick Goku, Gohan, Krillin, Yamcha, Piccolo, Android 17, 18, 19, King Dodoria, I don't fucking know. Why the fuck did I say that? There's no King Dodoria.
No, we've now made Dodoria king.
It was going to happen eventually. One of the multiverses. But they all play basically the same.
See, you dropped the name King Dodoria. I was right there with... That could have been a...
You're like, yeah, like King DDD.
I could have been a character in a later game. I don't know.
Oh my god. God, I want King DDD in Dragon Ball now. Oh god, who is this monster? How's he kicking all our asses? I'm gonna clobber that Dark Kirby.
Yeah, there's not a lot of difference in playing. The only difference is in power. One of the big complaints of this franchise, even going forward, is that if you're not playing one of Goku or Vegeta, then you're not going to beat anybody. Now, this game at least had some of the other characters were a little more playable in this aspect, because my brother mained Cell. I mained Tien back in the day, and he kicked my ass all the time. Okay. My brother was really good at this game. I was not. And then we got even in Budokai 3. We were a lot of great matches in that one.
You see, because Budokai 3 is actually like a really well-made fighting game.
I mean, it's a well-made game. It still isn't a balanced fighting game, but yes.
No, but Budokai 3 is one of those things where if you're playing it, you're just plugging it in for like some fun with your friends. Again, no one's playing. Spoilers, the best Dragon Ball fighting game is Fighters.
Yeah, probably.
Just in terms of it being a fighting game. But it's still probably not the one that you're going to plug in to play with your friends. I mean, maybe, but a lot of people are probably going to plug in, Budokai 1 or... No one's plugging in Budokai 1. People are going to plug in 2 or 3 or Ultimate Tenkaichi or shit like that.
And then when the HD re-release came out of Budokai, it was 1 and 3. 2 was not included on the list on it when they re-released
Why?
Because, well,
so here's the thing. 1 is really one of the only Dragon Ball games that has a true story mode that plays through, that has animated stories, that has all the models and everything, does that. 2's story mode is a board game where it sets up fights. It's actually really fun and weird, but it's very odd.
So it's like a precursor to the Smash Ultimate.
More like it's like if you mixed Mario Party and fighting game. Yeah, and then it leads to fights. But it wasn't really a well-distilled story mode.
Not gonna lie, that kind of sounds awesome. I would play it.
And then Budokai 3 had what was called Dragon
Universe,
I believe was Dragon Universe, and it basically you picked a character and you went through their story and built the whole story, but the story mode was all just text boxes.
You pick Yamcha and it's one fight.
And one of the complaints that comes a lot in the Dragon Ball games, less in this one, because you play primarily as Goku through a lot of it, is the fights that are losses in the show. You have to still win, and then you're like, see a scene of them losing. You're like, stop making me win.
Yeah, because I noticed that both times I watched the story mode, specifically, like, okay, I know it's a fighting game and you gotta do your thing, you gotta win, but Vegeta, you have to win the fight with Android 18, and the anime, manga, everything, that is a beatdown. Like, Vegeta does not get a single bit of goddamn offense in, and then she breaks his fucking arms like a bitch.
But yeah, there are definitely a lot of complaints for the gameplay of this game. Its story mode is something that needs to, because it is one of the only ones that had it, and that was a big selling point back in the day. It also is the only game, I believe, that has Rock the Dragon, because I don't believe any other game would have put that on, because that's also a pre-Funimation thing.
Yeah, a really weird extended Rock the Dragon where...
Because the opening is so much longer, that's why they cut the opening down, but the real Japanese opening is long, so Rock the Dragon only fit the original, shortened opening.
I was going to say, Rock the Dragon is 30 seconds, the Japanese intro is 2 goddamn minutes.
Yeah.
So in this game, they had to just loop Rock the Dragon.
And that's the original. I think in the HD remaster, I think it is just, they do Chala instead of Rock the Dragon. So I think it is just the Japanese. But it is very funny that, because that would have been at the time that still would have been popular, because the Ocean dub still existed for the Saiyan and Namek arcs.
Yeah, because the dub actors for this game are early Funimation, right?
Yes. Okay. Funimation did not have yet the rights to produce the Saiyan and Namek arc for television. Those didn't come until they were re-released on DVD in the mid 2000s, 2004, 2005, I think. Yeah.
So this was still Shawn as Goku. This was it Christopher Sabat as Vegeta?
Chris Sabat, he is. Chris Sabat is Vegeta, Piccolo, Yamcha. I think those are the only main 3 in this game. I know later he voices, I believe, Birder. Maybe Raccoon later, but I know that those 3 are the 3 he did for this game.
Yeah. And
I don't think it's Justin Cook that's as Raditz. I don't know if it's because I don't think that came to the dub, so I don't remember if it was Justin Cook for Raditz or someone else. So.
Fun fact: this will crack Mason up. Shawn knows about this. Fun fact about Shawn Chamel. He did originally go, because he voices Goku. He went in, guess who he auditioned for?
It's going to be someone crazy.
Captain Ginyu.
Ginyu!
Because he saw Captain in the name and thought he'd be important.
Oh, good old Captain Ginyu.
Who is in this game?
Yeah, there are a lot of characters that aren't, that you would think that would be like from there that aren't, because it isn't a very large roster. For example, like Android 20 is playable, but 19 isn't.
Strike that reverse.
Sorry, 19 is playable, 20 is not. Yes.
Sorry.
You're right. Clown Boy's playable, Old Man is not.
Yeah, sorry to be a pedantic dick.
Nope, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, it's standard fighting game roster about this time. Actually, it's a bit bigger than standard.
But for an anime, for the amount of characters in it.
That's true, but I mean, we brought up Tekken 4. Tekken 4 is a much smaller roster than this game.
What was the one? What was the one that you guys were talking about on the stream where you could play as like literally every character?
It's Ultimate Tenkaichi 3.
Ultimate Tenkaichi 3. So Budokai 1 has all the characters that you played. Also, Mr. Satan and Great Saiyaman are unlockable. I hadn't unlocked them. But then Budokai 2 kept most of the characters. I know there's a few they got rid of. And then added the Boo characters into it. And then 3 expands that roster quite a bit because it adds some GT characters, some movie characters, a lot of others. But even then, I think it was only like 30-something characters for the roster.
Yeah.
But the Ultimate Tenkaichi games started adding characters left and right. And I'm pretty sure Ultimate Tenkaichi 2 has the biggest roster. Xenoverse 2 might be close just on it. But like Ultimate Tenkaichi 2 had like Dragon Ball movie villains. You can play as Devilman in it. Devilman is a playable character in it.
Yeah, not the cool...
Not the cool one, no. Devilman shows up in an episode. I'm pretty sure Dr. Slump is playable in it from Toriyama's other manga. That shows up... Yeah.
Oh my god.
And I'm pretty sure Tao Pai Pai is playable, I believe. Only game which makes Ultimate Tenkaichi very amazing because Tao Pai Pai, best character.
I'm just hearing all these names and I'm like,
But
yeah.
Oh yeah, I love Tao Pai Pai. Oh, I love Kerr. I love Indian food.
Tao Pai Pai is famous because he's the first bad guy that Goku faces that is threatens death, kills someone, does a lot of that. He kills a man with his tongue. He wears his job description on the back of his shirt. His shirt literally has the Japanese symbol that says "kill you."
Legit, there is a scene Shawn showed me where he fucking deflects a bullet with his shoe.
Yeah,
just for
flips
the
the
sake
shoe
of
up
it.
and deflects a bullet. He's an assassin. He was a murder for hire, and yeah, he is the first real threatening character that happens in the original Dragon Ball.
Because before that, we had villains like Pilaf, who was funny.
They're more gag villains than actual fighting villains, and this was the first, because we'd come off the tournament arc and the Red Ribbon arc was in the middle of it, and this is the first real threatening character. So
yeah, because
always kind of hold us up.
Because Dragon Ball started originally. It was an adventure manga.
Yeah.
It was a really lighthearted adventure manga. There was a bunch of gags and early Toriyama gags, so it was all the boobs. All the perverts
and some racial stereotypes.
Yeah, but that's just anime in general.
Yeah, but Toriyama's exceptionally,
I know Toriyama's
exceptionally bad at drawing characters with defining features that are caricatures of African Americans.
Okay, yeah, he draws a lot of blackface. He ain't don't try and censor it.
Big lips,
he draws a lot
all
of
the
blackface.
things. It's a problem.
but then it started transferring more into an action show, or an action manga. And by the end of Dragon Ball Z, he drew Oob, who was actually a good-looking black character. So he's come so far.
Because Dragon Ball was supposed to be just a few chapter manga, and he just enjoyed writing it, so he continued.
He just kept going
forever and ever and ever.
Yeah, and now he's signed his own death warrant.
And I mean, Akira Toriyama did a lot of work outside of Dragon Ball as well. Famously designing all the designs for the Dragon Quest games.
He did Chrono Trigger.
As well.
Oh, that makes sense.
He did all the art style for those. So
that makes sense. Which Chrono Trigger looks a lot like.
Yeah. Which genuinely, Akira Toriyama, I love his art style.
Yes.
I love Akira Toriyama's art style. It is the perfect mix of cartoony but still pretty badass. like I love Oda, but his designs really lead into cartoony. Now I like that, but I know a lot of people don't. That's what turns them off to One Piece. Still. No, like I said, I love it, but Akira Toriyama's is just such a perfect mix of cartoony and action, because he can do. Look, this is the artist who started off with Bulma like doing her goofy faces in Dragon Ball, and then like 50 chapters later, he was drawing the most badass looking Super Saiyan Goku of all time.
Yeah, he evolved and did a lot of different things, and also is just a really good artist, and I like his style quite a bit. Thomas, did you do any research on Dimps this week?
Oh, dear.
The studio behind Budokai.
Dimps. We've gone on so many tangents this episode.
Oh, this is going to be an episode of tangents. I kind of knew it because I like to talk about Dragon Ball, and I know more than the average human probably should know, or, it's probably not healthy how much I know.
What did you have to lose in your brain to remember this much about Dragon Ball? Do you remember your
Well, no, so here's the thing, to remember this much, is why you don't get laid in high school,
Yeah, so you lost your memories of losing your virginity, but you know about Dragon Ball, goddammit.
Best trade I've ever made.
Look, that's why I haven't lost my virginity yet. I can't give up my Sonic knowledge.
Dimps!
Yeah, speaking of Sonic, Dimps has done a lot of Sonic games. They did Sonic Advanced 1 through 3 on the GBA, which 1 and 2 are fire games. 3, I've heard, is like a little more mixed, but it's a very...
I still like 3, but the Sonic Advanced games are great. And especially at a time when there were not as many good Sonic games. The Advanced games coming out were... Ooh.
Look, Sonic is usually pretty solid on a handheld.
Was Advanced were the Advanced games the first original Sonic games on a Nintendo console?
Yes, I believe so.
Yes, because they came out before Heroes, so yes, you're right.
Because the first one came out before Sonic Adventure 2 was ported, so...
Oh, wow.
Mason's like, see, I know about Sonic, I know about Dragon Ball then.
Yeah, Silver's basically Trunks, isn't he?
Yeah, and...
Look, Sonic's Goku, Shadow's Vegeta, Knuckles is Piccolo, Silver is Trunks, Tails is Krillin, there's just...
Nah, Tails is Bulma.
You know what? You're damn right he is. Fuck yeah.
Are you sure Rose isn't... Amy isn't...
No, Amy would be...
Amy's Chi-Chi.
Yeah, well, maybe a little bit, yeah, probably.
I view the anger issues.
No, wait, hold on. Would Rouge be?
Rouge...
Ooh. Would Rouge be Bulma?
Or is Rouge
because Rouge...
Android?
Or, yeah, would Rouge be Android 18?
Android 18.
No, not particularly. See, for Piccolo to be Knuckles, though, then Rouge... Because the Rouge and Knuckles relationship doesn't really exist for that, so...
Yeah, I'm going off broad stereotypes.
That's fair.
I could also say Rouge is Catwoman and Knuckles is Batman if we're going off the stereotypes.
That's fair, it is. Anyway,
what else Jesus
did Dimps
Christ,
do?
Dimps. Well, again, on Sonic, they did Rush 1 and 2, but they did a shit ton of Dragon Ball games.
A lot of them, and most of them actually came stateside.
Yeah.
Which I found really crazy, because a lot of Dragon Ball games did not come stateside, and their first Dragon Ball attempt was Budokai.
Yeah, their first Dragon Ball attempt was Budokai, which you can tell from a lot of the stuff that's wrong with this game. But they also made my personal favorite Dragon Ball game ever made, Dragon Ball Advanced Adventures on the GBA.
Such a good game.
Advanced Adventures is so good. It's expensive as fuck.
It's such a good game. They also did do the port of Dragon Ball Evolution.
Yeah.
Which was, I say port, but it basically was just the, I believe it's just a reskin of either Shin Budokai or the Shin Budokai Another Road.
I was going to say, I think you've said the gameplay is just a reskin of Shin Budokai, but with the Dragon Ball Evolution character models.
Yeah.
Which...
one day we will talk Dragon Ball Evolution. This is not the Dragon Ball Evolution podcast.
Thank God.
That'll be what the bleep are you watching.
For God's sake. We're probably going to do that at some point. Anyway.
There were Evolution games, weren't there?
Just one.
Or there was an Evolution game.
On the PSP.
Which has a story mode that is 5 hours with 30 minutes of gameplay.
Yeah, it is. It is mostly going through stuff, but it has some of the greatest freeze frames in the history of video gaming.
Oh, what the hell's his name?
Justin Chatwin making the faces. It is a treasure of a game.
It's a treasure of a movie.
Anyway, they also did Street Fighter 4 and 5. So, and they did a bunch of other anime games. They did some Yu Yu Hakusho games. They did some Saint Seiya games.
Sadly, the Yu Yu Hakusho games never came to the stateside. They did Japanese-only ones.
No Yu Yu Hakusho games came to the stateside.
Unfortunate, except for one that we're going to be playing soon. And just wait till if I got you playing an early anime game. Wait till you played Yu Yu Hakusho Dark Tournament.
Did they ever do any Naruto games?
They did a couple of Naruto games.
They
yeah,
did.
Yeah, they done a couple
ones?
Naruto games. They did an Inuyasha game. Yeah, they did a couple.
What were the Naruto games?
They did Naruto. Let me get there. I saw it down there. They did a One Piece game as well.
That's legit just called One Piece.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I thought they did a Naruto, but I haven't seen one. Maybe they didn't do a Naruto.
No, were you mixing it up because we talked about Ubisoft Montreal?
I might have been, but I thought I remember seeing one. But they did a One Piece game. They did a Bleach game. They did a couple Inuyasha games.
They did Shaman King.
They did Shaman King,
which I have no idea what it is, but it sounds badass.
It was an anime, but it was Fox Kids, one of those that Fox grabbed and did dubbed.
So it's like the Dinosaur King shit.
Kind of like, but yeah, it was one of those that Fox grabbed during the kind of like anime, trying to find animes that they played around like Digimon and things like that.
That's what I was thinking.
So they did a One Piece game. So is it like 500 hours long?
Well, it came out in 2005, so you can label it 555, 55.
They also did the 3DS My Hero Academia game. So.
Oh damn.
So they basically, as I said, they did a lot of anime. They did a bunch of other ones. They are a Japanese studio, so like makes sense why they do so many anime games. And interesting on Dimps is they were founded by several SNK and Capcom employees.
Yeah, including the co-creator of King of Fighters, I believe.
Yes. So co-creator Takashi Nishiyama and Hiroshi Matsumoto.
Yeah.
So like they are a pretty successful big studio that's still making games. Dragon Ball: The Breakers comes out soon.
And that is developed by them.
And you said earlier they did a lot of Dragon Ball games. Did they do Kakarot?
No, they did Xenoverse 1 and 2 though.
Oh, okay.
They were on Xenoverse. That was kind of their return. Kakarot is a different studio, so they did a lot of. They had not done a lot of Dragon Ball aside from the Dragon Ball Heroes games in Japan, and only the recent Dragon Ball Heroes came to stateside, which they're fine, fun, weird card battling games. Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission is fun.
Look, Dragon Ball is a franchise that has gone to so many genres. It's ridiculous. For God's sake, Dragon Ball: The Breakers is a survival horror co-op.
And it has. I mean, most of them are fighting games in the franchise. But you have a JRPG in Dragon Ball: Attack of the Saiyans. Great game. You have action RPGs. You have a beat 'em up type in Sagas. Albeit that's kind of also action RPGs, beat 'em up. You have.
I like how you could have gone with the beat 'em up for Dragon Ball Advanced Adventures, but you're like, no,
that's true. Dragon Ball
about Sagas.
Well, I'm contractually obligated every week to mention Dragon Ball Sagas.
Even after we played, you're just gonna bring it up every week.
The Dragon Ball games have had a lot of different iterations and different genres to jump into.
That's kind of surprising to me because I just always assumed that they were all fighting games.
A lot of different things.
Hell, one of the ones I want to play the most, but it's fucking expensive, is Dragon Ball Attack of the Saiyans, which is a turn-based RPG.
It is.
Where you play as mostly the humans.
Most of that game you play as Yamcha, Krillin, and Tien. And it is awesome. Attack of the Saiyans is such a good game. I'm sad it never got a sequel.
Look, I have really weird Dragon Ball tastes, if you can't tell.
Thomas is OG Dragon Ball boy.
I am OG Dragon Ball boy. I love OG Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball Z is good. Dragon Ball Z is fine. Dragon Ball GT. But OG Dragon Ball is my favorite.
So, an interesting tidbit about Budokai and also just the Dragon Ball games at this time. So they were all scored by Kenji Yamamoto, who composed basically the Dragon Ball games, like all the Butoden games, the Gokuden games, Ultimate Battle 22, Final Bout, Budokais. He would do the Shin Budokais, Burst Limit, Infinite World, Raging Blast 2, and then he actually did the soundtrack for Kai. At that point, unfortunately, it was found out that Yamamoto, who was like, everyone's like, man, these soundtracks are amazing, was plagiarizing his music.
And like, hardcore.
Like, yeah. Which is why when they re-released the HD collection, the soundtracks are very different for Budokai 1 and 3.
Really?
And unfortunately, look, it's all plagiarized, so I get why they had to. Unfortunately, not for the better, because the soundtracks in Budokai are great.
Oh no, they're good.
Plagiarized masterpiece.
You just know they're plagiarized, especially when you know. I think you pointed it out in your stream. You're like, oh yeah, you can definitely tell like which is plagiarized. Like, I'm just imagining this guy playing Budokai. Oh man, this soundtrack kicks ass. Let me listen to some Van Halen. Wait a minute.
Budokai 3 has a couple of the most egregious ones. Budokai 3, there's one that like going in, you're like, this soundtrack piece sounds really familiar. Oh, I just came from watching James Cameron's Avatar. It's weird that, just slightly changed. Yeah, just taken straight from it, but just changed a little bit.
He just upped the tempo.
How did he get away with that?
He don't know, but he did a long time. Some of it was also because a lot of the games initially he did a lot of Super Nintendo games, so bit crunch, the way that moved down, that maybe didn't sound as much, but yeah, he was plagiarizing, and it really wasn't until he did a TV series that it was really caught when he did Kai,
which because the TV show is going to have more high defs,
and so yeah, that was a big thing, and why making sure you guys got to play the PS2 version so you could experience the plagiarized glory.
Oh no, it's plagiarized to hell, but it's damn good.
So I assume he hasn't actually worked it recently?
Nope. Kai would have been his last thing.
I mean,
damn.
Shock of all shocks.
But yeah, like even like incredible, like the opening, one of the songs in the opening of Final Bout is fantastic. Plagiarized goodness by Mr. Yamamoto.
I think was it Tower of Power that he plagiarized a lot of?
I think so. I'd have to look up some of it, but yeah, so Dragon Ball has always had good soundtracks in different ways. And all different versions. I like a lot of their soundtrack stuff, but the games had a special, like, oh my gosh, this is soundtrack for a lot of people. So, that hit a lot of fans hard because...
Yeah, which... It's sad, but at the same time, it's like, well, the dude's plagiarized.
Yeah, which again, I played through all the HD re-release when it came out. Platinumed it. I love these games a lot, but... Yeah, it's a very different experience when you're playing through it with the soundtrack, and Budokai 3 even more, because Budokai 3 soundtrack was so good, such a plagiarized masterpiece. But that's an interesting fact going around about games in this time, Dragon Ball games specifically.
Wow.
So yeah, it's yeah. Well, what a fun fact about plagiarism.
What else in this game was plagiarized?
That's it, luckily.
I'm surprised not anything else was plagiarized because it like I said, it feels like one of the fighting games.
They can't plagiarize it because unlike most fighting games, this doesn't require motion input. I mean, it does, but very like it's punch, forward, punch, kick, blast for your. It's more like performing combo moves in a beat 'em up than
really is
than a fighting
Which,
game.
when you look at what they did in a lot of their handheld games like Advanced Adventure, a more beat 'em up style. I wonder if that's what they were trying to do.
True, but this did come out before that.
True, but also there's a few other like that when they did more beat 'em ups. That's the same sort of style. So I wonder if
that's fair.
Yeah,
it's just for me again. I'm so used to other fighting games, like there's no in other fighting games like here. Great example, Fighters, Dragon Ball Fighters. In that game, it's very simple to do a Kamehameha. It's literally quarter circle forward punch. It's literally quarter circle punch, Kamehameha. Quarter circle R1, super Kamehameha. That's it. Here, it's like punch, back kick, punch, energy for a basic Kamehameha. And it gets to the point where I'm like, what the fuck is the point? Because
see, here's the thing. I'm bad at quarter turns, quarter circles on any game, and so I am very bad at so the punch energy for me is super easy, and I love it.
Well, then get good, you slut. No, I'm kidding. It's just, for me, that felt really awkward. awkward. And again,
that's fair. It looks awkward too. You're playing like you're standing there, which is what they fix that in the later versions when you can just hit over energy and you have enough to do your main one little energy.
See, that I don't mind.
Is they get rid of the punch element of doing it, so you can do it a lot easier from the range. They also added beam struggles in the later versions.
Which, look, Dragon Ball, I'm not going to say it's all beam struggles, but the beam struggles are so cool. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they have, like, none in this game. I mean, they of course have them in the cutscenes and stuff, mm-hmm. but in gameplay...
I don't know if that became a team thing. Beam struggles maybe didn't come till 3. I don't know if they were in 2.
I think it was 3.
And it's 3... It's 3 is a great game, and it has a lot of things, but it starts adding some of the things that would be frustrating in the Dragon Ball franchise that would culminate in Ultimate Tenkaichi. There's a lot of press button and hope the other person doesn't press the button.
Yeah. Rock, paper, scissors, the fighting game.
It's better when you say it's rock, paper, Saiyan.
That is Ultimate Tenkaichi.
That is Ultimate Tenkaichi.
Did they actually call it rock, paper, Saiyan?
Someone did. I've seen that called. I think I thought like it was an online video. It might have been TFS. It might be someone else that I saw. Did rock, paper, Saiyan?
Fun fact: Ultimate Tenkaichi was my first Dragon Ball game.
I'm sorry for you.
Look,
this is my first. So
look, if you've never played Ultimate Tenkaichi, and Mason's like, "What the fuck is a Tecmo?" Ultimate Tenkaichi is
what's a Technicheese.
It's a Technicheese.
Well, Tenkaichi is actually is the name for the tournaments. So the world tournament, the Budokai Tenkaichi tournament.
Oh, and that's where Budokai comes from.
That's
exactly.
where Budokai comes from.
So the World Martial Arts Tournament is what it is.
But Ultimate Tenkaichi it's rock, paper, scissors. That's literally the entire gameplay is rock, paper, scissors.
It sounds
It's not
awful.
even like one punch attack gets better than another punch attack. It's literally you press a button and you pray to God your opponent didn't press the button to counter it.
Mm-hmm. It's a bad game.
Yeah. Fun fact: not only was that my first Dragon Ball game, I knew nothing about the franchise.
Well, that's a great one to jump in because ultimate fun things about Ultimate Tenkaichi. 1, it has the rock paper Saiyan mechanic. 2, it is the first Dragon Ball game that had create your own character. And 3. They were trading at the time because Kai was going on. They were starting on. They were currently working off of Linda Young as the voice actor of Frieza and introducing Christopher Ayers as the new voice of Frieza. R.I.P. Just a legend. So in that, there are sometimes mid cutscene that Frieza's voice changes,
which confused the hell out of me. I was so fucking confused
because there are multiple Frieza characters.
Do that
because Ultimate Tenkaichi
there's contract stuff is why it ended up being that.
But also, you might find this funny. Hell, Mason will find this funny probably. My first Dragon Ball character, because the first thing I did is I jumped into arcade mode because I just wanted to get a feel for the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm playing it, and I pick this character who I just think looks badass. And I beat the story mode with him. Not the story mode, there's just a couple fights or whatever. And I'm like, this character kicks ass. He's so cool. I love the way he looks. I love the way he fights. I'm going to look this character up. It was goddamn Yamcha. So yeah, wow. I'm not... I'm the motherfucker who got into Dragon Ball because of Yamcha.
In fairness, Yamcha does look cool.
He looks badass, man. And he's like a pussy. Son of a bitch.
Hey, he's the world's greatest baseball player. It's all good.
Hey, you know what? Fair enough. Hey, you know what? It's non-canon, but he finally got another girl. It's non-canon, but he finally goddamn got one. Actually, speaking of arcade mode, that is something I wanted to bring up about this game. It only has 2 real single-player modes.
It really does.
It has story mode, which is good. I mean, it's definitely an early 2000s story mode, so it's not perfect.
Yeah.
But it's good for what it is, especially at the time where it was the first, like predating Mortal Kombat 9 story mode stuff. And it has the World Tournament mode, which
can be very frustrating.
The World Tournament mode has ring outs. Fuck the ring outs.
So, on that element is one flaw of Dimps in a lot of their games, and this becomes a very big flaw in Xenoverse, is sometimes difficulty is not done by making them better at the game or you having to be better. A lot of times difficulty is just Oh, their punches do more now. Oh, they have unbreakable wall defense you have to get through. Oh, this thing. And it can get frustrating. And in World Tournament mode, you'll be like, oh, I'm playing on easy mode. I get through the first fight really quickly. I get through the next really quickly. Wow, why is this one so much harder? And I'm out of the ring.
Yeah, because the ring outs are just so... I don't really like ring outs in any game unless it's like Virtual Fighter or Bloody Roar where you have to break the wall and then ring them out, because then I feel it's deserved. But for this game, it's literally, you can be in the middle of this great combo, and then Android 18 kicks Piccolo in the dick, and he gets wrung out. And I'm like,
canonically,
you motherfucker.
eunuch.
What?
Piccolo's a eunuch.
Really?
Oh, that's right.
Namekians.
That's right. Piccolo doesn't have a dick. Okay, he kicks Piccolo in the crotch, and then pushes him out of the ring, and that's it, ring out. And
Namekians are closer to plants than anything else.
I'm learning more about these characters than I bargained for.
Yeah, there's literally a line in Dragon Ball Super where it's like, I can make you something tasty, Piccolo. I keep telling you, I don't eat food. I only live off water. Superhero's so good.
Superhero was really good.
I kind of wish there was a balance between a story mode and a World Tournament mode. Like, yeah, you pick any character like World Tournament mode, but then you go through not a story, but like a series of fights. You know, just you fight random people, but it's not World Tournament, so you can't ring out it. They're just fights. Maybe at the end, have the characters wish upon the Dragon Balls and either give them an ending or, just like in Smash Brothers, a picture. Call it, I don't know, arcade mode, like every goddamn fighting game under the sun has.
The problem with a lot of Dragon Ball games is that arcade modes don't exist very often.
I know, and that's frustrating.
And that's actually a problem with a lot of anime games, fighting games. That's because, you know, the story mode takes the place. But so, you know, you don't just want to necessarily just play one computer. Sometimes you want to go up and fight your rank and play these sort of things. So that is definitely something that really didn't exist in many Dragon Ball games. I know, obviously, Fighters has an arcade mode.
I know Fighters has an arcade mode. Did Raging Blast have one?
Raging Blast had that weird story mode, so...
That's right.
That kind of through all of it, and you can go back and select all of them, so kind of, but not really.
That's right.
But...
That's right, I forgot about that.
Yeah,
Raging Blast 2 is weird. That was my dad's introduction to Dragon Ball.
I like Raging Blast a lot. It's probably my favorite of the arena fighting Dragon Ball games. I mean, I guess Ultimate Tenkaichi is also pretty arena-y, so you can put that one up there, especially on the Wii.
Yeah. Yes, there are Wii versions of Ultimate Tenkaichi.
2 and 3.
I did know that.
And they're very expensive to get these days. So hey, please listen to our podcast and help us so I can get Ultimate Tenkaichi 3 one day.
Ultimate Tenkaichi 3 on the Wii is like $215 goddamn dollars.
That's expensive.
You gotta be like one of those Make-A-Wish kids that's like my one dream is to own.
Is to own Ultimate Tenkaichi 3. He shaves his head bald and everything just to fake it. Sir, you're 35. Goo goo.
Look, did I realize that I could try to complete the PlayStation 2 Dragon Ball collection, and I need Infinite Realm and the Ultimate Tenkaichis, or Infinite World, are all that I need? Yes, I did realize that.
Are they expensive?
They're all really expensive.
I was gonna say Infinite World. That shit, like the cheapest I could find it was $100.
Yeah, that one.
And I'm like, son of a bitch.
But so yeah, this game in a lot of ways kept the franchise afloat going into Boo. And then the 2 ones really were. This was kind of the defining franchise for the video game side of things that built it. Other 2, 3, all the others would sell fine. Like kept pumping out Dragon Ball games, they sold fine. But this is the one that sold. This is the Dragon Ball game that sold really until you get to things like Xenoverse and Fighters and Kakarot, which have all sold well. Not that other games didn't sell well, but these were kind of the franchise. And there really wasn't much of a first until like Burst Limit, which was the first Xbox Dragon Ball game.
Yeah, Budokai was... It's kind of fitting that Budokai was such a big deal in America, like being one of the first Dragon Ball games to be transferred over, because Dragon Ball Z itself was such a big deal in America.
Huge.
Like the impact Dragon Ball Z had. And keep in mind, this is coming from someone who only just recently got really into Dragon Ball.
But then if you go back into a lot of just like mid-2000s and even in 2010s animation in American animation and how many things take reference and elements from Dragon Ball. Hell, the joke when season 1 of Heroes came out, when Heroes was out, and the character came back and saved the cheerleader, saved the world. The amount of jokes of, oh yeah, you're future Trunks in this.
Yeah, what the fuck was his name? Peter, or whatever. The hell
Peter
it was?
Petrelli, yeah.
Yeah, the guy who could steal the people's powers.
Yeah, and there's a lot of it like this is going to be future Trunks on all this sort of thing. So, like this was
when Codename Kids Next Door has a Dragon Ball Z reference.
That Steven Universe has many. Adventure Time has a bunch. Like
if you are a cartoon on Cartoon Network post, hell, I'll say post like 1990, because even Powerpuff Girls has Dragon Ball references. They're very minor, but like there's a scene where Blossom literally just moves her head to dodge a laser, which one is badass as shit. 2 is ripped straight from Dragon Ball.
Yep. There's a lot of just little references, and it created what we know as a shonen anime in a lot of ways. It kind of the prototype. Every anime kind of has shonen style anime has followed a lot of the archetype that Dragon Ball created in a lot of ways.
Yeah, if you like shonen, if you like Naruto, One Piece, My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, any of those, you probably like Dragon Ball.
It started, I saw someone was like, here's Dragon Ball. I've got Goku, and then I'm One Piece, and here's my Sea Goku, and there's Ninja Goku in Naruto. Oh, and here's Dead Goku in Bleach. I don't remember what they said for Jujutsu Kaisen, but there's Goku.
Here's superhero Goku and My Hero.
Yeah, and it's all taken from the archetype it was created.
Here's Angry Sword Goku and Black Clover.
While some animes have done a lot of the stories better, and Dragon Ball, especially Dragon Ball Super at times, the mess that it is, the stories aren't told as well as some other animes. But it is the one that created and spawned a lot of these. It is a humongous franchise that finally saw one of its movies get a worldwide actual release.
And it was a damn good one.
And it was a good movie, and it made money.
Yeah, if you haven't watched Superhero, if God forbid it's still playing near you, watch Superhero, because it's really fucking good, dude. Yeah, just actually about the game, I know, shocker.
I know. I mean, we've talked fairly about
the game. No, we have. I'm being an asshole. It's what I do. I like that this game doesn't pull the Dragon Ball GT Final Bout or I'll even say Fighters is bad about this, where it's just so many Gokus. I like that all the transformations are stacked.
Yes.
Like Goku goes, it's not Goku and then another character slot is Super Saiyan Goku. No, it's Goku himself is one character, but he can go Kaioken times 2, times 20, and then finally to Super Saiyan. Gohan can go Super Saiyan 2, Vegeta, Super Saiyan, all that. Super Vegeta. I like that the transformations stack up. And that just... I like that because that makes for a more dynamic character roster. It would not be... Could you imagine, like, cutting out, say, Android 17 and losing his dope-ass alternate outfit if we just had, like, 7 more Gokus? Like, that's kind of how I feel.
Yeah, and I think eventually some of the roster will get cut down because they have so many Gohans in the later one, because you have Kid Gohan, Teen Gohan, and then Adult Gohan. Teen Gohan is 10 and Adult Gohan is 17, or 16, but that's fine.
Well, okay.
But you start to have more of the slots filling in. You'll have like bonus characters and that. But Budokai never really did all the Gokus,
which I appreciate.
Which is something that a lot of those games would later do.
That's something I dislike about like any anime fighting game when they do that. There's a Naruto fighting game, I forget which one, but I know it has like Kid Naruto, Shippuden Naruto, Sage Mode, Super Sage Mode with fries Naruto. Like,
look, I love Boruto's dad.
Man.
Then again, I love the shit out of One Piece. Will we cover a One Piece game here? Yeah, when I can find one that doesn't break the goddamn bank.
Don't worry, we'll play Jump Force.
Oh man.
I mean, That's probably the closest we're going to get, even though the One Piece characters do look the worst in that
They do
game.
look the worst.
Oh my god. They look bad in that game.
There's a great moment in Jump Force where the first time you have Vegeta and the little cube things like crawl down, and it looks like it crawls up his ass.
It literally just
looks like it crawls
right
up Vegeta's ass.
Even, it's not as bad about it because Luffy's transformations are more just like temporary things. But in recent years, there has been like Luffy and then Gear 4 Luffy. And it's like, son of a bitch. We avoided this for so long.
So the roster, I think, was pretty good. You know, there are side characters that I would rather play, and I wish for a little more balance at times. But the roster is pretty good especially for a mid-2000s fighting game.
Yeah. Again, this has a pretty big character roster by fighting game standards. Not terribly big by anime game standards, but by fighting game
Ultimate
standards.
Tenkaichi would have what, 60, 70 characters in it?
It has so many.
The problem though with Ultimate Tenkaichi is they're just reskins of everybody. Like eventually you're like,
it's a toy box game.
Yeah, it's a toy box game. It's a fun toy box game. Don't get me wrong. But it is hey, I'm going to grab my action figures and smack them together game.
Look, any game where I can play as, like, Piccolo and beat the shit out of Devilman, yeah, it's...
Where you can play as any of the Shadow Dragons and fight the Peel-Off Gang.
Yeah.
What now?
The Peel-Off Gang, the first
villains.
The first villains.
A
little blue dude.
Little imp boy, his dog, and a woman who's way too old to be hanging around them as they try to take over the world.
Yeah, well, you say she's too old. Fucking Akira Toriyama draws people so weird.
She's, I think, canonically 30-something.
God damn, all right, yeah, she is way too old. Well, because the dog...
Which makes the Trunks romance in Super very weird.
Okay. God damn it, Akira Toriyama. Well,
is there anything that could make these any more weirder than they sound?
Oh, I can make a lot more weirder if I really wanted to.
You want the bit where Oolong, again, canonically 7 years old, turns into Bulma and flashes Roshi?
Bulma canonically 13 at the time?
Yes. What was it, TFS, I think, that said, like, isn't Bulma like 13 here? And then they're like, Oolong's 7.
I think down there. God damn it, Toriyama. I think that was TFS.
No, I love Toriyama with all my heart, but goddamn, the man's weird sometimes.
It's anime culture and a lot of the old stuff.
I know
too,
it's just anime culture, but specifically Akira Toriyama had so many fucking pervert jokes.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong.
Master Roshi's the original pervert.
And don't get me wrong, I love Master Roshi. He's hilarious. Any man who can just kind of walk off a blade to the head.
I mean, the fact that basically Master Roshi got strong in Super because he gave up being a pervert is hilarious. The thing holding him back was his perverted
being a pervert.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That would have been cool if Master Roshi was playable in this game, but I think...
Well, because there were a couple characters who were going to be playable that ended up not being. Bulma was going to be playable at one point because they data mined the game and they found her model. Like
they weren't sure. I don't know if it was going to be playable, or if it was something for one of the cutscenes on it. Because I know she's in some of it, but like how much like it was going to be in, like if it was going to be like a mini game similar to like the Raditz holding. You're holding Goku. You're trying to hold Raditz while you're. Which, by the way, that mini game is super frustrating and annoying, and I don't like it. But
thank God you have the Piccolo version, which is literally rotate the analog stick for 5 seconds.
Yeah. As fast as you can instead of hold him in the circle, hold him too hard, hold him in there, too hard.
Yeah, I just, for both this and Budokai 3 with the rotating sticks, I just think of I forget what video it is, but it's a video from Screw Attack, like way back in the day, where it's like Mario Party 1, and he's just rotating the N64 analog stick, and it's like piercing his palm, like, ah, God. That's all I think of.
All right, well, on this podcast, we like to ask 2 questions for every game we play. The first one is, how does this game hold up?
Mason?
It's a hard one to do on this because in this era of the 3D games, the fighting games, the anime games at the time, it is very similar, and it has held up better than a lot of those games. But also, the controls have not held up amazingly.
Yeah.
The graphics have not held up. There's a reason they scrapped the 3D models very quickly.
Yeah, the graphics are played out. The graphics look like
have not held up well. So a lot of things about this game doesn't hold up. And then if you play the HD re-release, it's still playable, but a lot of things about this game did not hold up at the time.
If you play the HD re-release, you play Budokai 1 for the story mode and Budokai 3 for everything else.
It holds up about as well as other fighting games from that era to me. It doesn't feel any different. It's just, yeah.
Just wait. We're going to need to bookmark that and just wait and see if Mason has that same opinion in about a month when he has to play Yu Yu Hakusho Dark Tournament, a game that came out about the same time. And I love it, but I'm going to say it did not hold up as well. Spoiler. But I agree, though. A lot of the games, without the nostalgia goggles and what it is on it, a lot of the stuff on this game does not hold up. So, like, nostalgia-wise and as a fan and what I know this game meant to both franchise and fans, I can see where it held up on it. But as far as a game goes, the only thing this game had going for it was its story mode.
It's the only Dragon Ball game that's really done something like this. Because even the only one that got close was, I guess, Kakarot. But even then, I've played a little bit of that, and it's very much, it's text boxes. This is the only one with like fully animated cutscenes.
Trying to bring the anime to a fighting game. Yeah.
And again, this was 7 years before Mortal Kombat 9, so before fighting game story modes got really, really popular. So,
but yeah, I think we can all agree that this game, as a whole, doesn't hold up, and I can even say a lot of it is because they fix a lot of the problems in 2 and 3. Yeah. A lot of the gameplay problems are fixed. The graphic problems are fixed.
Because they actually do cell shading.
I wouldn't say they're problems. They're just limitations.
Yes, limitations. They're just, it said they throw away the models. They go to this shell-shaded look. Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 still looks good.
And that's because Akira Toriyama's art style just doesn't translate well to non-shell.
And I know Mason, a few would have been the Sonic Adventure, talked about the mouth flaps in the movie on it. Boy, this game's got a few of those.
Yeah.
It came very much. Yeah.
It's making me look back at Adventure's graphics with rose-tinted glasses.
Yeah, Mason falls too. Mason falls to their knees. I was wrong to judge you, my love. Come back.
As he just holds a Shadow the Hedgehog.
As he holds a Shadow the Hedgehog.
Shadow the Hedgehog goes super.
Oh, God. That thing seems like it hurt.
Our second major question we like to ask is, would this game deserve a reimagining or a remake in a modern setting? I think, for my basic answer, is we've already gotten a remaster in 2010, and as a Dragon Ball fan, I would play more remasters or just ports. I would love to see it because it's only on PS3 and Xbox, I think is what it ported to. It might have been, or it might have just been PS3, but it was ported over for the remaster. And that was fun. I would like to see that done again. I would shell out money to play it on the Switch, the PS5, or anywhere again. But considering the amount of Dragon Ball games and the amount of fighting games and the more things, I don't think a remake of this exact style is needed, or even really a reimagining of this style.
The only thing I can see that I kind of want to be reimagined is the story mode. And even then, that's only like giving fully animated cutscenes. Because like Fighters has a story mode, but its story mode's lame. Like Fighters is a really good game, but its story mode kind of sucks. It's got the Smash Ultimate problem where it's a good game, but the story mode is ass.
Yeah,
I really don't like World of Light. But, like, it's... I would like to see this kind of style of storytelling return, even if it's not for a retelling. Like, make an original Dragon Ball story that just happens to use these full-motion video cutscenes. Even if it is just a fighting game story, I'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
Just do that one arc from GT where everyone from hell comes back.
Mason, are you chomping at the bit for a remake after playing it?
I just don't see any reason.
That's fair.
Like,
yeah, there is really none.
Because we have other fighting games, we have other Dragon Ball games.
We have other Dragon Ball fighting games.
Yeah.
It all kind of balances out at that point. That, yeah, this is one, said, personally as a fan, I would love to see another remaster, or even just a port of the HD remasters again. But This time including 2. Please give me 2.
But
overall, like, I don't see a remake or a reimagining needed.
Yeah, I feel like they could make some easy money just by porting the HD remasters to... Hell, just port them to, like, that PlayStation Plus thing. Or...
Yeah, put them on something like that or the Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah,
so
like
things
Game
like that
Pass.
could be played. That would work just fine. You know, if you want to make a $15 version of each of them on the Switch store that I could get, you know, would I probably throw that down? Probably, because I'm a whore. Yeah. So that's Dragon Ball Z Budokai. So what do you guys think?
This was a game.
Will we get to an episode where Mason doesn't just say at them, "Well, that was a game," unless they choose the game. Then they're like, "Go play Go Vacation. It's the greatest ever." Ben 10.
Look,
I feel slightly called out right now.
Look, if Mason can have this reaction to Dragon Ball, well, if you can have your reaction to Ben 10,
it's a very, very funny.
Mason can have his to Dragon Ball.
But if
I'm trying to be interested in both of them because I made you guys play Beatdown, so that's the best I can get.
That's fair. What do you guys all think? Let us know. I know you can do that on Apple Podcasts. You can type some words in. Give us that review on it. You can then click and say 5 stars. You can, again, tell Thomas why he's wrong for not liking Shadow or whatever the plant dude in...
Wildvine was
Wildvine,
yeah,
Wildvine in Ben
one.
10. You can tell Mason to start.
or Vegeta herself.
Yikes.
Alrighty, you can also tell Mason why they should play more Dragon Ball games. But if you do that, just put that 5 star. We'll be back here with more episodes. I believe our next one is planning to be an interlude episode, so look forward to a countdown list in the future. And with that, everyone, we will see you next time.
Get good, you slut!